Chapter 7. A Little Blackmail. Mr. Krupp sat back in his chair and chuckled to himself for a long, long time. Finally, George got up the courage to speak. "What are you going to do with that tape?" he said. "I thought you'd never ask," laughed Principal Krupp. "I've thought long and hard about what to do with this tape," Mr. Krupp said. "At first, I thought I'd send copies to your parents." The boys swallowed hard and sank deeply into their chairs. "Then I thought I might send a copy to the school board," Mr. Krupp continued. "I could get you both expelled for this." The boys swallowed harder and sank deeper into their chairs. "Finally, I came to a decision," Mr. Krupp concluded. "I think the football team would be very curious to find out just who was responsible for yesterday's fiasco. I think I'll send a copy to them." George and Harold leapt out of their chairs and fell to their knees. "No," cried George. "You can't do that. They'll kill us." "Yeah," begged Harold. "They'll kill us every day for the rest of our lives." Mr. Krupp laughed and laughed. "Ha ha ha! Please have mercy," the boys cried. "We'll do anything." "Anything?" asked Principal Krupp with delight. He reached into his desk, pulled out a list of demands, and tossed it at the boys. "If you don't want to be dead as long as you live, you'll follow these rules exactly." I think my favourite character will be Captain Underpants, because he's a very funny guy. George and Harold carefully looked at the list. This is blackmail," said George. "Call it what you like," Principal Krupp snapped. "But if you two don't follow that list exactly, then this tape become the property of the Hogwarts knuckleheads." Chapter 8. Crime and Punishment. At 6 o'clock the next morning, George and Harold dragged themselves out of bed, walked over to Mr. Krupp's house and began washing his car. Then while Harold scrubbed the tyres, George roamed around the yard, pulling up all the weeds and crabgrass he could find. Afterward, they cleaned the gutters and washed all the windows on Mr. Krupp's house. At school, George and Harold sat up straight, listened carefully, and spoke only when spoken to. They didn't tell jokes, they didn't pull pranks, they didn't even smile. Their teacher kept pinching herself. "I just know this is a dream," she said. At lunch, the two boys vacuumed Mr. Krupp's office, shined his shoes, and polished his desktop. At recess, they clipped his fingernails and ironed his tie. Each spare moment in the boys' daily schedule was spent catering to Mr. Krupp's every whim. After school, George and Harold mowed Mr. Krupp's lawn, tended his garden, and began to painting the front of his house. At sunset, Mr. Krupp came outside and handed each boy a stack of books. "Gentlemen," he said, "I've asked your teachers to give you both extra homework. Now go home, study hard, and I'll see you back here at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We've got a busy day ahead of us." "Thank you, sir," moaned the two boys. George and Harold walked home dead tired. "Man, this was the worst day of my entire life," said George. "Don't worry," said Harold. We only have to do this for 8 more years. Then we can move away to some far-off land where they'll never find us. Maybe Antarctica." "I've got a better idea," said George. He took a piece of paper out of his pocket and handed it to Harold. It was an old magazine ad for the 3D Hypno Ring. "How's this going to help us?" asked Harold. "All we got to do is hypnotise Mr. Krupp," said George. "We'll make him give us the video and forget this whole mess ever happened." "That's a great idea," said Harold. "The best part is we only have to wait 4 to 6 weeks for delivery." Chapter 9. 4 to 6 weeks later. After 4 to 6 weeks of back-breaking labour, grueling homework assignments, and humiliating good behaviour at school, a package arrived in George's mailbox from the Lil Wise Guy Novelty Company. It was the 3D Hypno Ring. To George Beard, 1526, Vine St. Piqua, 45356. Hallelujah, cried George. It's everything I ever hoped for. Let me see, said Harold. Don't look directly at it, warned George. You don't want to get hypnotised, do you? Do you really think it will work? Asked Harold. Do you really think we can amaze our friends, control our enemies, and take over the world, just like the ad says? It better work, said George, or else we just wasted $4 whole. Chapter 10. The 3D Hypno Ring. The next morning, George and Harold didn't arrive early at Mr. Krupp's house to wash his car and reshingle his roof. In fact, they were even a little late getting to school. When they finally showed up, Mr. Krupp was standing at the front door waiting for them, and boy, was he mad. Look at his hot head. He's red as a tomato. Mr. Krupp escorted the boys into his office and slammed the door. All right, where were you two this morning? He growled. We wanted to come over to your house, said George, but we were busy trying to figure out the secret of this ring. What ring? Snapped Mr. Krupp. George held up his hand and showed the ring to Principal Krupp. It's got one of those weird patterns on it, said Harold. If you stare at it long enough, a picture appears. Well, hold it still, snobbed Mr. Krupp. I can't see the darn thing. I had to move it back and forth, said George, or else it won't work. Mr. Krupp's eyes followed the ring back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. You have to stare deeper into the ring, said Harold. Deeper, 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 deeper. You are getting sleepy, said George. Very sleepy. Mr. Krupp's eyelids began to droop. I'm so sleepy, he mumbled. After a few minutes, Mr. Krupp's eyes were closed tight, and he began to snore. You are under our spell, said George. When I snap my fingers, you will obey our every command. Snap. I will obey, mumbled Mr. Krupp. All right, Sir George. Have you still got that videotape of me and Harold? Yes, mumbled Mr. Krupp. We'll hand it over, bub, George instructed. Mr. Krupp unlocked a large file cabinet and opened the bottom drawer. He reached in and handed George the videotape. George stuffed it into his backpack. Harold took a different video out of his backpack and put it into the file cabinet. What's that video? Asked George. It's one of my little sister's old boomer, the Purple Dragon sing-along videos. Nice touch, said George. Chapter 11. Fun with Hypnosis. When Harold bent down to close the file cabinet, he took a quick look inside. Whoa, he cried. Look at all the stuff in here. The file cabinet was filled with everything Mr. Krupp had taken away from the boys over the years. There were slingshots, whoopee cushions, skateboards, fake doggy doo-doo, you name it, it was in there. Look at this, cried George. A big stack of Captain Underpants comics. He's got every issue, said Harold. Anger issues. For hours, the two boys sat on the floor laughing and reading their comics. Finally, George looked up at the clock. Yikes, he said. It's almost lunchtime. We'd better clean up this mess and get to class. The boys looked up at their principal, who had been standing behind them in the transit all morning. Gee, I almost forgot about Mr. Krupp, said Harold. What should we do with him? Do you want to have some fun? Asked George. Why not? said Harold. I haven't had any fun in the last 4 to 6 weeks. Cool, said George. He walked up to Mr. Krupp and snapped his fingers. Snap! You are a chicken, he said. Suddenly Mr. Krupp leapt onto his desk and flapped his arms. Cluck, 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 he cried, kicking his papers off the desk behind him and pecking at his pen and pencil set. George and Harold howled with laughter. Let me try, said Harold. You're a monkey. You got to snap your fingers, said George. Oh yes, said Harold. Snap! You're a monkey. Suddenly Mr. Krupp sprang off his desk and began swinging from the fluorescent light fixtures. He shrieked, leaping from one side of the room to the other. George and Harold laughed so hard they almost cried. My turn, said George. Let's see. What shall we turn him into next? I know, Harold said, holding up a Captain Underpants comic. Let's turn him into Captain Underpants. Good idea, said George. Snap! You are now the greatest superhero of all time, the amazing Captain Underpants. Mr. Krupp tore down the red curtain from his office window and tied it around his neck. Then he took off his shoes, socks, shirt, pants, and his awful toupee. Tra-la-la, he sang. Mr. Krupp stood before them, looking quite triumphant, with his cape blowing in the breeze of the open window. George and Harold were dumbfounding. You know, said George, he kind of looks like Captain Underpants. Yeah, Harold replied. After a short silence, the two boys looked at each other and burst into laughter. George and Harold had never laughed so hard in all their lives. Tears ran down their faces as they rolled about the floor, shrieking in hysterics. After a while, George pulled himself up from the floor for another look. Hey, George cried. Where'd he go?